Greetings one and all, and welcome to Channel Otherdoc. I'm Jim, I use he, him pronouns, and this is the premiere of Untitled Space Game, our Scum and Villainy campaign. This is, I presume we are going to be basically going from planet to planet and stealing items out of various neighbors' yards and things of that nature, and just being generally annoying to the populace. That's what I take this to mean.
That's the plan.
Excellent. Good. We came to the right place. All right. We're going to go ahead and go around and say hi to everyone, find out who they are and who they're going to be playing. This is our session 0, so we're probably not going to be doing much RP in this session, but we're going to just sort of see what we're doing. I am playing Ben Dyson, also known as Coil, and he is a mechanic. We shall, let's see, how was I going to do this? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and we will start, let's see. Yes, okay, we will start with Sara. Hello.
Hello, I am Sara. I use she, they pronouns. I am playing Leo Valentine, the scoundrel, who uses she, her.
Excellent. And now let us head over to Brittany. Hello.
Hi, I'm Brittany. I will be playing, I use she, her pronouns, and I will be playing Dr. Mav Wilo, who is the Stitch playbook.
Excellent. And now let us head over to Alyssa. Hello.
Hello, my name is Alyssa. I am the artist formerly known as Origami Shuriken. It is now Shawl Tales, and I am playing Gavesha Iris Lutess, the Mystic, or as I affectionately call her, my suspiciously perky space wizard.
Excellent. And now we'll go over to Josh. Hello.
Hi, I'm Josh, he, him. I am playing Quirk, a xenopilot, whose real name is unpronounceable by human apparati.
Yay! That pleases me to no end. I can't explain why. Very cool. Awesome. And so now, we're going to go ahead and get things started. I'm going to hand things over to our GM, Brian. Hello.
Hello, I'm Brian. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm running this thing. So because this is session 0, this is going to be entirely about character creation and starship and crew creation. For those of you familiar with Blades in the Dark, this is a based on the same system, and the character creation and crew creation are similar, but they do have some differences. Now, as you've already heard, people have already decided what characters they are playing, and for the most part, they have already filled in their character sheets with a bunch of different cool stuff that their characters are going to be able to do. So my first question is, and you don't have to do this now, but does anybody have any questions about any of the special moves or anything else for your characters, or anything that you want to do character-wise before we jump in with the ship and all the crew stuff?
I will just mention that I have not looked at my character sheet properly, I think, since we played last. And
this is an important point. 2 of our players are playing the same characters they played in the one-shot. Which made it a lot easier for you to put them together. Now, if you have put stuff on your character sheet already, obviously you're not locked in. Like, if you come up with a better idea now or next session or whatever, you're not trapped just because you stuck something in and realized that it wasn't as fun to play as it sounded like on paper. Now, having said that, we are going to look through the special abilities for the ship and a bunch of other stuff. And I know some of you have played some Forge in the Dark games before, but the descriptions have a lot of game terms that are not defined like on that page. So if you have any questions about what anything means, that will help you make a decision about one special ability over another for either the ship or for your character, let me know. But one of the reasons I'm asking that specifically now is because everyone is going to decide what special abilities your ship gets. It'll be a collaborative conversation for whatever people think is the coolest. And because this is a campaign, you will get experience points, and your ship will get experience points, which means you will get to add stuff to your characters later, which is great. Because when we did the one shot, it was fun, but in my opinion, systems like this really shine because of the advancement. You've got stuff to look forward to, and later on, you can pull in. I keep calling them moves because I'm in PBTA mode, but you could pull in special abilities and things like that from other playbooks later on, and actually fairly early in the process. So we're going to have several sessions, which means we're going to have several jobs, and you will get. One of the cool things about this is. Experience points are awarded at the end of each session, not at the end of each job or campaign or story. So you will have the chance to advance fairly quickly, which is kind of nice. So just let you know if there's a thing that you didn't pick this time, put a pin in it for later, and you may be able to get it for that. So does if everyone's okay, we'll move on to the ship and crew stuff. Does everyone have access to the Star Dancer ship information, like the actual list of potential special abilities and all of that? Okay, so in that case, if you've already looked over it, does anybody have anyone that jumps out at you that you'd like to do? We're not necessarily. We're going to do this in order, which means we're actually going to backtrack a little bit. But the special abilities are kind of like in my opinion, the coolest thing your ship does. So, if you have anything there, you don't even have to shout it out right now, but just make sure you look it over so we know what the deal is when the time comes. So having said that, I am going to back up a little bit, and we are going to do this step by step. So we've already chosen the ship. This is another thing that we did before we started playing over on a Discord channel is... everyone listed Star Dancer as either first or second, so we decided that's the one we're going with. And the reason that we did that, well, like I said, that just seemed to be the one that the most people were truly interested in. So this means that you are doing, for the most part, you'll be doing like smuggling runs and delivery runs and carting things from place to place. Also, a fair amount of smuggling. And it is important to note that you get more experience points when you take a job that involves delivering something or smuggling something or transporting something. Another thing that you get experience points for is bolstering your reputation. So the first conversation we really need to have is, what do you want the reputation of your crew to be? And this is literally like what you're known for. They have some examples, but it can be honestly any adjective. The ones that they list are ambitious, brutal, daring, honorable, professional, savvy, strange, and subtle. That is not exhaustive. Like I said, those are just things to give you an idea of the kinds of reputation you could have. And does anybody have any thoughts on that? Like thinking about the kinds of characters that you want to play, thinking about the kinds of things you want to be able to do. And again, from a purely mechanical and mercenary point of view, the more of those things you do, the more experience points you get. So pick a reputation that you will enjoy being known for and being even more known for.
Savvy seems nicely broad.
Mm-hmm.
Savvy's pretty good.
Strange also kind of jumped out.
You do have a mystic on board.
Yes.
Based on that and
actually, you have a mystic and a Xeno. That's a good
Right.
point.
Yeah, a Xenos whose name is literally unpronounceable bird-like screeching.
Yes.
So right off the bat, and this is not to say that the other three of you can't also have strange stuff in your backgrounds, but right off the bat, we have two characters that almost certainly have something strange in their backgrounds. And speaking of backgrounds and other stuff, I know Sara and I have already talked a little bit about we've talked a little about your character's background, and one of the best things about a game like this is you do not have to come up with an actual backstory or even a fully fleshed out one, just a basic idea. And as we play, because we're going to be doing multiple sessions, we will be able to add some of that stuff in. For example, like Josh's character, like I have a feeling we're going to build up a fair amount of what your particular species is like, just because you do something, and then we're going to be like, oh, okay, now apparently, or more to the point, like you'll refer to something, or like one of your clutch mates will show up, whatever. So we will be adding in both personal and group backstories as we play. And for that matter, there are going to be a lot of times when I'm going to ask each of you to help fill in part of the world, because, we'll get to something and, you'll mention an NPC or you'll arrive at a planet and I will ask one or all of you, what does it look like? Because we're all telling this story. And if I don't have a reason for it to look like a thing, that helps me because it gives me something to work off of. So yeah, I've heard savvy and strange, both of which work. Anyone else? So let's see. All right, we'll move on to the next thing in just a minute. All right.
I kind of, I'm trying to remember, because I'm sort of thinking back. The crew that two of us were in at one point were like too overly competent.
As I recall, you were professional.
Yeah,
and boy, were you. It worked out that way.
So it'd be interesting to do something that's a little different this time.
Yeah, good point. Okay.
I have some strangeness in my character's background, so that could be possible. A possible thing that we never really got into before.
Yeah. Well, just like Josh said about savvy, strange is also very broad.
You made a good argument for strange.
So that sounds cool. Okay.
Yeah. Also, I just noticed that my microphone was slightly further away than it usually was before.
I can hear you
I've
fine.
just moved it back.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm being reminded. So if anyone, let me know if there's still mic issues here. And I'll see if I can do anything like turning up the gain or something. Sorry, go ahead.
But that's it. Yeah. So I'm feeling a general trend toward strange. Anyone have any? And you will get to decide what strange means. So no problem there. But that also means that it's up to me to make sure I give you plenty of opportunities for strange stuff. For which I thank you. That will be fun. So I'm okay with that too. All right. So right now, let's just say strange. And if we want to change that to something later, obviously, like I've said about the other stuff, you're not locked in. Let me get over to the Roll20 sheet and bring up the Star Dancer and see. Here we are. Because it does have a slot for reputation, so I'll type in strange. Okay. And theoretically, if you go to the Roll20 sheet, I think the Roll20 page, I think I've shown it to everyone. So you should be able to follow along as I add stuff. And if not, let me know. I'll try to get it bumped up. Or for that matter, I'm not sure. I think it's showing. All right.
When it's not showing in my copy.
Okay, and then I'll have to figure that out. But for right now, just
It's under the Star Chat.
Oh, there it is. It refreshed.
Just updated. I had to refresh.
okay. Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah, I refreshed and didn't do it, but it looks like it self-refreshes after X amount of time.
how cool. Okay, well, we have learned something about Roll20. Thanks. All right, so
yes,
that works.
We learned that it grows impatient.
Yeah, it's like fine here. All right, well, that's good. In that case, the next thing we have to figure out is the hang on, let me get over here. Is the customization. So the ship that you have chosen, which is the Star Dancer, at least by the book. If you want to name it something else, by all means, feel free. But right now, the ship that you have chosen begins with a few things already in. You have a hull rating of 2, which is pretty good. It is, I think it's the best hull rating of the 3 ships. And the reason you have a larger hull rating is because you literally have a larger hull. You've got extra cargo space, which means that you also have a cargo hold, which is pretty big. It is the thing that you can use to haul just about anything, and more likely multiple anythings. It's spacious, and whatever's in it is not going to be able to be hidden. But other than that, you can carry it around. If you want to hide something, the good news is you also have smuggling compartments. You also have a jump drive, which means your engine rating is 1. Your comms and weapons ratings are currently 0. Comms rating is 0 means that you just have basic communications equipment. You can use it to talk to stations or other ships or whatever, but you can't do anything fancy with it. A weapons rating of 0 means you literally have 0 weapons. One of the things that we will talk about and we will work out together, because there is a default setting for this game, but it's really more of a loose framework, which is excellent. To me, it gives us just enough to really get started with. So if you do end up putting weapons on the ship, either now or as an upgrade later, we'll have to talk about the kind of weapons and whether or not those are actually legal. Merely having some weapons will get you in trouble. We just need to talk about what those are. But right now, what is going on is you will choose two ship systems to improve. And again, you have 4 systems: engines, hull, comms, and weapons. You can and anything that you improve means that you will be adding some sort of module to that system. For example, if you look in the Star Dancer section, it gives you some options that are already available. Meaning, for example, on the engine, you've got a jump drive. You can also easily add afterburners to this ship, which is just what it sounds like. It just it can make you go real fast for a brief period of time. The comms that are available are fake transponder and quantum encrypter. Again, pretty much what they sound like. Fake transponder makes you look like you're a different ship or a different kind of ship, and chances are you're able to rotate through multiple kinds. It doesn't just give you the option for one. A quantum encrypter makes your communications really, really difficult to tap in on. I will also tell you something. Your hull rating is currently 2. If you bump your hull rating up to 3, your smuggling compartments can have life support systems in them, which will allow them to transport things that breathe. So if you're interested in smuggling yourselves or anything else that's alive, that is an option. So does everybody have access to the different modules, or do you need some information on what's available for each one of the systems?
When you say access to the different modules, because I am still learning what the words mean.
Yeah,
I'm still learning what any word means, really.
Yeah.
But this, are you talking about a thing accessible from the Star Dancer character sheet, or is this a?
It's not on the sheet. It would. The easiest access you probably have to it is the Google Drive docs that I pinned to the Discord chat. But
Looks like there's also a handout in there too.
Yeah, exactly. So
yes, I also have ebook, but
it's also in the book. For example, page 122, I think. Nope, earlier than that. If you have the, that's it. Thank you. If you have the book, 115 is the place to start. Yeah. And
118. Sorry, I know how to read a book.
Oh no, you're right. 115 is
Ooh.
well, actually, 115 is where the whole thing starts. You're exactly right. All right, so for example, if you wanted to add to your hull, you've basically got two options: a landing bay, which would allow craft smaller than your ship to land in your ship, which would be like shuttles or even like a fighter or something like that. If you've seen Cowboy Bebop, you know that they have the cowboy and the bebop, and so it would be basically that. You could have one or more, whatever makes sense in the fiction, smaller things. The other option for upgrading your hull would be crew quarters. So right now, if you don't install crew quarters, you guys are just sleeping wherever in the ship you can. Now, the good news is you're in a ship with a cargo hold. You can portion off a section of the cargo hold and sleep in it. But if you want something a little more comfortable or private or yours, you want crew quarters. So those would be the options for that. Again, you already have a jump drive. So if you wanted to update or upgrade your engine or improve your engine, you could get a cloaking device. And a cloaking device, by the way, is illegal. If you were caught having or using a cloaking device, the hegemony will frown on that. You could also you can get afterburners, and you can get what's called a gravitic field generator, which is basically a tractor beam. Now, comms modules, like I said, your comms rating is 0, just lets you do your regular stuff. Just, communicate with other ships in a completely unencrypted manner. So you can get an encryptor for that, what's called a quantum encryptor. You can get a fate transponder to make it look like you're something else. A long-range scanner is an option, and it's what it sounds like. It gives you the option to either find something that's a lot farther away than you normally would, or detect something coming after you that's a lot farther away. You could get a targeting computer, but that only works if you also have weapons. So right now, you don't really need a targeting computer unless you improve your weapon systems. And then what's called a nexus link, which is a connection to the hegemonic system network, which is without that, you will have to wait until you get to, say, a space station or a planet or someplace or another ship that has a link to this to actually link into the larger network of information.
Yeah, I remember our last ship didn't have one of those.
Yeah, it's honestly pretty rare for a ship to have that link. It's like airlines used to be when they first started getting Wi-Fi, and that was weird.
Still have trouble understanding Wi-Fi, really.
Do we need a workshop for our mechanic to be able to do everything?
I mean, I'm not going to say
he's
no,
able to do?
That's the thing.
Is that a ship module? Let me see.
It's
Yes.
under crew
Yeah,
gear.
it's under crew
Okay.
gear.
Also
That'll
under
come-
crew gear is Alien Pet, which I am very interested in.
Yeah.
And that's a whole different step, by the way, is doing those. So right now we're focusing entirely on the four systems: hull, engines, weapons, and comms.
Gotcha.
Dig it.
But I'm glad you're looking ahead to the crew stuff too, because workshop might not be a bad idea. Oh, also, well, never mind. I was about to confuse you by telling you things that we don't need to know yet, but because that's my thing. But I will. And while you're thinking about that, I also need to. This is a thing that this game shares with Blades in the Dark. Oh crap! There is another thing that you can do. I'll give you that in a minute. But whichever two of your systems that you improve, you're going to have have some sort of a link to one of the factions in order to do this. Right now, you have 2 cred. Your crew has 2 cred, and cred, as you may have already figured out, is money. So, but it also represents something a little more intangible. But right now, we'll just call it money. And that means that we'll pick a faction, And you will have 3 options with this faction. Either you pay them off because they helped you with this improvement, or technically these improvements, because they'll be helping you with both of these improvements. So either you pay them 1 cred, and it was just a business transaction. You just nothing owed further. You will, in the fiction, you will know that they helped you, and that'll be nice, and you paid them for it. The other option is to owe them 1. You will actually gain +1 status with them because they will be favorable towards you, but at some point they're going to ask for a favor later. Personally, that's my favorite one as a player, is just to have other factions show up and ask me stuff. However, another one that's a lot of fun to play is you screwed them over. You have -1 status with them, and you can already imagine the story possibilities on that one. So now that you're thinking about which systems you would like to improve, I forgot to tell you there is one other option. You can spend both of your cred and increase what's called your crew quality. Right now, your crew quality is 0. And what that means is if you go up against a group that has a rating higher than 0, which is most of the groups, you will be at a disadvantage. Most of the groups you're going to be like going head to head with right at the beginning. I'm not a monster. I'm not putting you up against like 4s and 5s, but you will be at something of a disadvantage because most of them will be like 1s or 2s. If you increase your crew quality, you'd spend 2 cred, and you would bump yourselves up from 0 to 1, which would make it easier for you to do certain things. You would literally have better stuff, meaning like your personal equipment would be better. Kind of anything not covered by the systems that we're talking about. You'd start off just with with a kind of a bigger name. Other crews and some of the factions would know a little bit about you to begin with. But the thing is, if you do that, you will have spent all of your cred. So that is an option, and it does have some advantages. And again, anything you pick here, it's my job to make sure that you don't feel like you wasted your slot on whatever it is you pick. I'm going to make sure you have options for using whatever it is. So if you do your crew quality, I'll just make sure that comes into play. And you'll have the option to bump up systems later. You will also have the option to increase your crew quality later. This isn't like the only time, obviously. So your crew sort of levels up kind of like a character does anyway.
I have
Jim.
some very basic
yes.
inquiries to make it this time.
That is good because that's pretty much my level of understanding right now.
Because there are many options before us.
Yeah,
and they swim before my eyes, and I think to myself, what is my motivation for wanting this option? And the answer is I don't know yet, because I am not sure why we are together and what it is we are doing. Overall, I'm not talking about what is the first mission or anything. I'm just wondering.
Well, this might be a good time for that conversation, because really it's all intertwined. And you bring up a good point. The only reason we're choosing any of this stuff, the reasons we're choosing any of this stuff is A, we think they're going to be fun to play, and B, they provide story opportunities. So that's an excellent point. Let's look at the characters we have. We have a xenopilot, and then everyone else is a human. So we have a mystic, a Stitch, a retired spy, and a mechanic.
I'm gonna float that if we choose crew quarters as a whole improvement, that'll give us an opportunity to kind of define our individual personal styles and aesthetic.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I like crew quarters.
Okay. And that automatically bumps your hull up to 3, which means you can smuggle people as well as things that don't breathe. So, and it bumps your hull up to 3, which means your hull's literally tougher. It is more difficult for things to penetrate your hull, which in space I hear is kind of important. So so that ain't bad.
I'm also going to suggest that a medical bay is not necessarily the worst idea.
I mean, fair point.
We have a medic, so that's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
I do want to clarify that the medic is actually a psychiatrist.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Not
Is
that
there
kind
a
of doctor.
psychiatric bay available?
Yeah, but you
I'm a psychiatrist, not a doctor, damn it.
That's right.
yeah, but if you're a psychiatrist, we're going to assume a similar educational system, which means you did a space surgical rotation, right? So
Band-Aid.
yeah, that's that you know. You can so you're doing a lot of googling how to fix like phaser wounds. Yeah.
Wiki howing as I'm
Yeah,
trying to stitch
exactly.
someone up. You know?
Yeah.
That's how I approach life normally, so that works fine.
I am already in love with that idea.
I think it's funny. It's like if we just sort of take turns doubling as the medic, and it's just I just sort of approach repairing people the way I repair engines. And sort of,
Your mystic also has a point in doctor.
that's true. Yes.
That is helpful. Okay, so that's an auxiliary module, which I think actually that'll be for the next step. So you can still add if you want to do that one.
No one's ever said we've got too many medical bays on this ship.
Yeah, that's not really a common phrase.
I keep tripping over these gurneys. Okay, that's not bad. All right, I think that one kicks in. That's a interesting.
So we get to upgrade 2 of these?
Yeah. Although, you know what? Looking at it now, if you wanted to do it, I would just consider okay, we could do it that way. If you didn't want to upgrade, say, any of your other systems, I would go ahead and count Med Bay as like another hull improvement, which would give you a hull rating of 4, which is like freaking amazing. And you would start off with your Med Bay. If you wanted to do that, we could just turn that into a whole module.
A box
Yeah.
in space.
Exactly.
So what are the so just so that I've got an idea so that this doesn't continue to float away from me here. We've been talking about updating, getting possibly the medical bay, but what was the thing before it we were talking about adding?
Crew quarters.
Crew
Yeah.
quarters. Okay. And so crew quarters. Okay, yeah. So that's I see. You're talking about counting that into the whole thing. Okay, gotcha. All right, cool.
Yeah,
crew
crew quarters.
returned to the
Crew
same
quarters
page.
crew quarters is already a whole thing. And in my opinion, if crew quarters is a whole thing, honestly, I think Med Bay would be too.
Well,
So
Our
I
ship
think
is
that's
made of
fine.
titanium, and we have somehow managed to defy the laws of physics to get it to lift up into the air.
Would we be able to
Okay
get
with that.
med bay in a different step, though, you said? Or
Yeah, actually, looking at it though, if we're doing it by the book, I think Med Bay is only you can only add Med Bay during an advancement phase, which means after you get some. But like I said, you're basically trading any of the stuff you could do now for that later, if you see what I mean. So I'm okay with calling Med Bay a hull rating and just sticking that in there if you want to do it that way. And then because then if you want to add some more stuff, you've still got the things you didn't choose this time. If you want to bring those in later, you're just kind of, Tetrising it. So that's fine.
I think just sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Nope.
You're
good.
I think for my there is this sort of what is the term I'm looking for? This somewhat. So there's this thing about if we get the hull stuff first, that just as far as just to be selfish for a moment, not really selfish, actually the opposite of selfish, but to give my character more work. It could be one of those things where I'm constantly trying to build the other stuff.
That's a fair point.
Where it's like, we need afterburners. Okay, I'll see if I can make some.
I mean, yeah. Well, and see, again, that's a good point. Anything you don't choose that you want, is something for everyone to strive for later. So that makes sense.
It's like, here are all
I like
the
that
things
idea.
we don't have. I'm just going to keep this list on hand somewhere. So it's like, here are all the things we don't have that I need to work on trying to build.
Oh, man. That is a long list.
It's a self-starter project.
I like it.
Can I just ask also, and do we, the one question I do have regarding, I like the idea that we are thus far floating over about crew quarters and medbay possibly. Do we want smuggling compartments? Or
you have them.
We have
some
already.
already.
That's right.
You start off with those.
Oh, that's
so
right. Okay,
yeah.
we're good.
So the good news is you already have that.
Oh, okay, we're fine then.
Yeah, you have a large cargo hold and a moderately sized set of smuggling compartments.
It's weird that series the Scarab class freighter is advertised with smuggling compartments, factory standard.
It's only on certain message boards, I think. Procyon sector's pretty far from the hub.
I'm happy with doubling up the hull and doing the med center along with the crew quarters.
And like I said, there is a difference between having a strong hull and having armor, but having a strong hull does literally make you more difficult to mess up in a fight. For example, I'm not going to go into the system right now because it doesn't matter, but just suffice it to say that if another ship shoots at you and it does hull damage, you've got more damage to take before you have to really start worrying.
Yeah.
So
that's good since we don't have weapons.
That's an excellent point. You can sort of make up for the fact that you don't have weapons by being harder to damage as you're trying to get away. That makes sense.
If you are strong enough, you technically can be the weapon.
Well, okay.
Anything is a weapon if you try hard enough.
That's it. There is a long tradition of ships ramming other ships. So yeah, good point.
Just have to shout ramming speed while you do it.
I mean, I think it's required. Okay, so I think, and I like this too. I'm a big fan of this. Okay, so basically this just means that you have a big ship. It's not so big it can't land on a planet, I want to emphasize, but you have a big ship that is much harder to damage, and you have a med bay, which means that when the squishy things flying the ship get damaged, they will be a little bit easier to fix. So I like that. So while I am talking about this, why don't I add it to the sheet so I don't forget? So let's see. We said crew quarters, and also I am going to stick 2 more dots on your hull rating, and that is your maximum hull rating. By the way, you have maxed out your hull. Nice job.
How
Okay,
big is this ship?
it's pretty big. More to the point, it's not just big; it's heavy because whatever you've got a lot of stuff on and in your ship. Okay, so let's.
It's just that my brain right now seems to be starting to drift toward Red Dwarf because of just the shit.
It's not that big.
Okay.
We just have
keep in mind your ship can land on a planet, so
Okay,
it's
that's
not
good.
that big. Yeah.
Just imagining
All right, and we
thing
said
is
med bay.
People just have just inherited this ship somehow, and they're trying to get across from one place to another, and it takes for freaking ever. So
We
you
just
figure
have
out
a
how to
bumper
steer the
sticker.
damn thing.
Right.
We just have a
So-
bumper sticker that says she thick.
Painted on the outside with one of those things that the Expanse does, one of those just paint bombs.
The light graffiti.
Oh, that's what you need. Oh no, you're right. It needs to be really, really glowing hot pink and in huge letters. So just to, yes, that's it. So just to recap, currently you still have 2 cred, but we need to figure out how you who helped you get this, whether they intended to help you or not. You have you're flying a freighter with smuggling compartments, a cargo hold, crew quarters, and a med bay. Also, you have a jump drive, which is essential because otherwise you cannot fly from system to system. There are jump gates, and the jump drive the jump drive it's not like a hyperdrive where your ship goes fast. The jump drive is essential for activating the gates that go from system to system, FYI. Okay. So it's one of those things. It's like think more it's more like Babylon 5 than Star Wars. The ships themselves don't go fast. They fly in
like Mass Effect.
Yeah, or Mass Effect.
Yeah, I think Cowboy Bebop did that too.
Yeah, you're right. And at least one of you is intimately familiar with Mass Effect these days. Yeah. So I just want to take a pause and say, Sarah, I'm really enjoying your posts.
Thank you.
I am playing Mass Effect vicariously through you. So that's a good point. Yeah, it's a jump gate. This is a jump gate universe rather than a hyperdrive universe. All right.
Is that just for any system to system?
Yeah. Okay. And we'll go into more detail about the Procyon sector later, but right now there are only 4 systems in the Procyon sector, with the possibility of opening up gates to others. For example, I know Alyssa's character has ties to a group that wants to do exactly that. I don't know if Alyssa's character wants to do that, but I know she knows people that want to do that. So let's go to the step where we figure out either who you paid or owe a favor to or screwed over to get this.
I do want to ask one thing, because and once again, I apologize if this if anything that I suggest here causes us to wander into off the map and into things that are
this is all to figure out. This is all to figure out what's going on. So
yeah. And so the thing is, I was wondering if we're getting into story stuff, if it might benefit us to at least talk a little bit about any of the stuff that or that we've set up for our characters or our character backgrounds.
That's a fair point.
So that we will all sort of know that and be able to sort of bounce off each other and kind of connect things that we might want to connect. Does that sound like a good idea, or is that or is this going to be taken care of in this whole process? I don't know.
That's really what this process is. The whole point of this is to figure out who you are and what you're doing. And to be honest, coming up with what's on your ship is just sort of helps fuel that. So it doesn't matter what direction we go in or in what order we do it. Everything is literally coming up with why you're here. And that's an excellent question. We don't even know whose ship this is or whose ship it was. This ship could literally full on belong to any of you or all of you or any combination of you. I mean, let's use Firefly for an example. Mal bought the ship, but he hired Wash to fly it. We've got the same thing. The Millennium Falcon was won in a card game. Any number of things. So any of your and again, we don't have to decide that for sure now. Anything that we leave this session undecided, we can fill in later. There's no reason we have to come up with everything, obviously. But anything that's cool or makes sense or helps us figure out, why do we have such a big ship with a med bay? Something like that. And that's actually a really good question. Which came first, the Stitch or the med bay? Did you get this ship and you're like, there's this amazing med bay here?
Doctor.
Yeah, I met this person at this bar that keeps calling herself Doctor. Maybe I should hire her.
They built the med bay insisting that they had a doctor no matter how many times that she reminded them she was not that kind of doctor.
That's exactly it. And you're like, but then eventually you're like, I guess I'm that kind of doctor now. Fine. Okay, today I'm a thoracic surgeon. Fine.
I would like as just sort of mode of care. I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, that Brittany made a very specific choice not to do the medical doctor thing. So
yes,
we don't necessarily have to put that necessarily on her if she does not want it.
Well, and as Alyssa pointed out, more than one of you already has some dots in doctor. And by the same token, we're all assuming that Quirk is the best pilot, and I bet he is. But any of you can have some helm. Like any of you can fly the ship. And again, I apologize for continuing to reference a Joss Whedon product, but it is really good here. Mal could fly the ship, but he was not the best person in a dangerous situation. So, whenever anything particularly wonky showed up, he would bring in Wash. Same deal with you. You're like, any of you can have your own. There is no skill that is walled off from any of you. So, and having more than one person with helm might be useful because maybe Quirk is busy doing something later,
You'll just have to adjust the gravity when you get into the cockpit because I keep it at 85%.
That's exactly it. Oh,
partially because it's more comfortable for me, but mostly because it makes humans nauseous, and I think it's really funny.
It's pretty funny.
This feels like the space equivalent of driving to a place and then getting out of the car and making your spouse parallel park for you.
It kind of is, yeah. And to continue that analogy, it is literally every time my wife drives my car, because I am 6 feet tall and she is 5'2". I suddenly realize that she has set the gravity for 85%. So so it's almost exactly that. Okay. So some of you have ties to some factions already. At least one of you used to work for one of them. And Alyssa, what do you know what Iris is linked to the Cult of the Seeker, right? Seekers?
Yeah.
Do you know? I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to have an answer for it, but
we didn't really get into it a whole lot because it was a one shot.
Yeah.
But I do also have in her connections and weird friends, like her former teacher, and I remember saying she kind of cut ties with him because it seemed like the organization he was in was kind of culty. So I get the feeling that she was some sort of an apprentice in this cult, and maybe it's where she learned some of her mystic stuff.
Okay, so she might still have some ties to individuals in it.
Yeah.
But at some point you learned something, or they wanted you to do something or whatever, and you were like, no. I don't buy that. Okay.
Something like that. And I think we ran across one or two of them, but it was more of like a wink and nod kind of a situation.
Yeah, exactly. And hang on, I sent a list of the factions out a while back to the Discord, and it's just the little sketches of each of the factions. So let's see. We do need to pick one that helped you with this, though. Let's see what's out there. Let's see what makes sense. I mean, there are multiple. What it boils down to is, what do you think would be the most fun to have ties to that helped you with your ship? There are multiple criminal organizations out there, obviously. There are also multiple organizations and groups that are affiliated with the hegemony. And then you've got some pirates. You got some religious groups. Most of your religious groups are going to be involved with the Way at some point. And the Way is basically this game's version of the Force. It is the thing that lets your space wizards do space wizardry. You've got a bunch of military organizations. You have one very powerful spy organization that at least one of you knows about. And for that matter, you've got various noble houses, one of which, House Malclaith, is the most powerful one in this sector. The governor of this sector is of House Malclaith. And on paper, they own the Procyon sector. But in reality, they almost never leave the planet that the governor's mansion is on. And they're their power outside of the system that the governor lives in is pretty weak. However, as a house, they are very powerful and they can help you. Let's see what else we got. Like there's a really cool group of assassins. I don't know why they'd help you get a ship, but you never know. And then there's the Starsmiths Guild, and they are the ones that maintain jump gates and hyperspace lanes. They also build ships. They are affiliated directly with the hegemony. You've got this other thing called the Makers Guild, which force grows clones. And there is no way that you can't not make them creepy. They're just a creepy bunch of guys. And then you've got this other group called the Vigilance, which is the Jedi. And because they have no kidding, they have actual swords that are powered by the way. Now, having said that, I said like I made fun of them. I still think it's pretty cool to have a sword that glows and cuts through metal. So that's pretty neat. So, and now that I think about it, we don't have to decide this immediately. We can move on to the next phase. It is something just to keep in mind. And I will warn you, we're going to have to do this phase again for the next thing you choose. So, FYI. But do we want to stick a pin in this and come up with your next cool ship things? Or do
everyone's got like a really strong idea on who to owe to?
Problem with this phase is there's a lot of options here, and if you want, I could boil it down to like 2 or 3 and just give you those.
I mean, the Starsmiths are the obvious ones, but that seems a little too easy.
With our reputation being strange, I'm almost trying to think like, what is the weirdest way someone gets a ship?
Yeah, I concur.
Holy crap, that's a very good idea. Oh, and again, that's a really good idea.
What's the creepiest darn cult?
Okay, so Makers Guild is super creepy. Cult of the Seekers definitely has some creep factor. Hang on, there's one called the Agony that is creepy and disturbing. Let me find them. But yeah, if you want to go weird, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah, stick with your. Okay, so there's the Agony, which is a cult of humans who infect themselves with way creatures to access the universe in unsettling ways, named after the pain most endure for their abilities. Let's see. There's another one. Okay, there's another one called the Ashtari Cult, and so there was a group of beings that created the Stargates and all this other stuff. And they are generally referred to as the precursors. The Ashtari Cult worships them and is trying to, and the precursors disappeared a long time ago. So the Ashtari are trying to connect to these precursors in various ways. Some of them are trying to bring them back. Some of them are trying to wake them up. Let's see. There's the cult of the, So there's the Cult of the Seekers, which, again, Alyssa's character has some ties to. They are wandering mystics studying artifacts and seeking new places. The hegemon's mother is one of them. And they want to open the Hantu Gate, which is basically a gate that has been inactive for a very long time. And the records are lost as to what it even leads to. But maybe some of the Seekers know what it is. Maybe they don't. Let's see. There's another one called the Night Speakers, mystics with dark proclivities, bent on finding a set of dangerous precursor artifacts. Let's see.
There are so many of these.
And then the Vigilance
I found the factions.
Yeah, yeah, that's the problem. But actually, I like focusing on the weird ones. I'm just picking those out to help you.
I mean, the one that's connected to one of our characters seems like
it's not a bad idea.
Fairly strong idea.
And it could be something as simple as I'm trying to figure it out. You know what? I kind of like the idea that there's something weird about your ship.
Oh.
Like it's a Vorlon style ship from Babylon 5. Like it's something is sentient about it, sort of.
I like that.
Isn't there a mod for AI? Yeah, under
Yeah.
auxiliary.
Yeah.
Auxiliary.
My eyes just lighted on Conclave 01.
Oh, the Urbot? Yeah.
This is like, and I'm just imagining there being like this thing that's like this ship that was like a giant robot or something weird like that. I don't know. But,
It could straight up be something like maybe one of these cults or groups had it and it kept, it was improperly programmed with a personality and it just kept saying inappropriate things and it upset the religious cult or something along those lines. It has ship Tourette's kind of thing.
Which is, a gift for the game master, so thanks. That's not bad. Okay, I like that idea. I like the idea that the central weirdness of this group is the ship. And again, we can figure out why later. Cult of the Seekers, you're right. Cult of the Seekers is the obvious one. I'm trying to why I'm going back and forth here. Like either, like you said, either some group gave you this ship or at least loaned you this ship in order to go do a thing, or all of you were hired for this one job, and in the course of that job, you found this ship.
Maybe the Seekers sent us to get this ship and we decided to keep it.
Yeah. Oh, holy crap! And then that could go ahead and answer our which of those options did you choose? You screwed them over.
I also have another strange thought as a possibility. If this ship, how did we say we wanted there to be some degree of sentience to this ship?
I like it.
Maybe we tried
I
to
will do whatever's necessary to make the ship sentient. Yeah.
Oh, the ship decided to keep us.
The ship found us again.
It's like Moya from Farscape.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is. Holy crap. Okay, no, that's actually really good. In fact,
it doesn't want to go. I'm sorry.
Go home.
We were about to make the handoff and she jumped away. She ran away.
And now that I've said that, you didn't necessarily screw them over. All three of those options are still on the table for whatever you were supposed to do. You could have just gone, yeah, we were supposed to give you the ship, but we'll loan you one later. Bye, and then just ran off. Or the ship made the decision for you, and the Seekers are like, oh, and you're like, but the ship. But they're like, oh, sure. Blame
I like the ship making that decision for us.
I kind of do too. Okay.
Funnier.
I just like the idea that it's like it's not that we decided to keep the ship, it's that the ship decided to keep us.
Yeah, it totally is.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, the ship likes you for some reason. All right, I think we got it. Okay, so you've got, again, we don't have to come up with all the details right now. You've got a ship with something weird about it. A lot of things weird about it, I think. Do we want to stick with the Cult of the Seekers as the group that you're tied to because of it?
I think that makes sense.
I think it works. Okay, and we'll, like I said, we'll nail down the details later. But I think we sort of ended up basically with the Seekers hired the five of you for a job, and we could figure out if any of you knew each other before the job, or if that was it's probably the first time some of you met at least. And whether I also kind of like the idea that the ship was the goal, and then the ship was like, nah. Okay, so do we want the cults to be annoyed with you for the ship's decision, or do we want to spend a cred or owe them a favor? That's really what it boils down to on this one.
I think owe them a favor.
Okay.
Then it can be, okay, we're taking your ship and we understand that you hired us, so we will do something unspecified for you in the future because the ship has chosen us.
Okay. Everyone else good with that? I like that one. And then that way, that that gives you a built-in story hook later. They're just like, hey, remember that thing you said you were going to do? Okay, that works. All right, so that means you still have 2 cred, and you have a weird ship with a bunch of cool hull stuff. So now let's move to the next stage, which is choosing a special ability. So does everyone have access to the special abilities? Oh, you should. They are on the start answer sheet that is on Roll20. It's the easiest place to find those. So let me know if you cannot see those.
Whereabouts on the sheet?
On the right-hand side of the start answer sheet.
Where it says special abilities. It was hidden.
The home
special
cooking one
abilities
is
were hidden in a labeled place.
So the default special ability is the getaway, and it is very powerful. It does a lot of really good stuff. But just like everything else, you can get more special abilities later. You can, just like for your character sheet, if you whatever you don't choose here, you can pick up again later. So that's a good one. It is very good for running away, which as more than one of you has pointed out, if you don't have weapons, that's a thing you might want to do something with. But there are no bad choices on these special abilities. They all give you something pretty cool to work with.
The home cooking one is really appealing.
It's
Just
nice.
on a narrative level.
It's good.
It is
nice.
strangest.
Also, you're right. It is kind of weird. Yeah.
It does require a galley module, which I don't think we have though.
But you can add it. You can add it on this next stage.
Okay.
Let me double check. I'm pretty sure it's part of that. Yeah. So an upgrade is a valuable asset or system module, which means that part of your. Let me flip over here. Ship upgrades, ship modules. Yep. It is a ship module that you can add. So I believe you get 2 upgrades or just 1. Let me double check. While you're looking over those, I'll make sure I know exactly how many you get for next time. Yeah, you get 2 more upgrades. And I believe which ones do you start off with? You start off with where are your upgrades? Next page. Oh, no, you do have a galley. You already start off with a galley.
Oh, sweet.
So never mind. So the upgrades you begin with are a galley and a training boost. And that only you have to worry about this when you start adding to your stats. But basically that means if you train to improve your insight, you get double XP for bumping up your insight. Just by being part of this crew. So those are the upgrades you already have. And then you can add any of the others. So you've got the full list on the second page if you scroll down on the sheet. That's below the it's also over on the right. So as you can see, Galley and Insight are already checked for when you get down to that level. So good news. Home cooking can be chosen already. You don't have to add anything for it.
I need to ask something.
Yep.
What does overindulge mean in this context?
Okay. The way the Vice system works, and this is a holdover from Blades in the Dark. This game works on the primary motivator of everything in this game is a stat called stress. And you use stress to do things beyond what you can normally do. And as your stress builds up, you eventually can get into what's called a trauma, which means things happen to your character and then your stress track resets. The other way to reset your stress track is to indulge in your vice. And you make a roll, and if you roll above a certain number, you do what's called overindulging, which means you have other things that happen to you. You have a list of things that you can do if you overindulge. So basically the thing that normally helps you relieve stress, something went wrong and you did too much of it, and you suffer consequences because of that. So home cooking in this case basically just becomes a vice that everyone has.
So,
which, by the way, is a second vice already tacked on to whatever vice you chose for your character or when you made your character.
I kind of have, and I apologize for not seeing this before, but again, these things will sort of come up. I have something of a line that may be starting to get hit in depending on how that goes narratively.
Okay.
So if we do that, I would request we have to be careful, and I may end up end-carding certain things.
Not a problem. I mean, if it's a big enough issue, we could actually just not have it not have it as an option. Because again, we're here to have fun and take care of each other. We're not here to.
Sorry, I'm not trying to like.
No,
I don't want to put anything here. I'm just.
Yeah, but Jim, this is what the safety tools are for.
Yeah.
So this is literally why we have them. So no kidding. I mean, if you think that having that as an option, okay, we can do it one of two ways. If you think that having it an option at all is problematic, we can just not do it. If you think that certain aspects of it might be a problem, we could just make sure that we either mitigate it or fade or find an alternative that would still allow the other set parts of that to take place. This whole thing's modular.
If I may, Jim, is it the character versus character fighting that
not entirely, no.
Okay, because I'm say if that's the thing, we could just make a different type of conflict.
And that it's one of those things. That, unfortunately, I have to go ask Elbow to even talk about it. But
I don't mean the prime.
It's not PvP. It's not PvP.
Okay.
It has to a certain extent do with just consumption.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'd rather not have that as a thing that happens randomly to my character, basically.
Understandable. Yeah.
Like, I'm happy to drink myself to death, but or anything like. But it's or some other vice. But
sure,
I'd rather not do that.
Okay.
I
so
think
that sorry. Go ahead.
The leverage option also looked really interesting, narratively.
Let me remind myself what that one is. Oh yeah, that is helpful.
Where you binge watch Leverage.
Yeah, we don't do any jobs. We just watch Leverage.
I'm on my third viewing, and I can't wait for the reboot.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming soon, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I've been watching the little behind the scenes stuff. So I apologize. This is no longer a Scum and Villainy game. This is a Leverage podcast.
I'm just going to talk about Leverage.
Actually, it's Leverage / Expanse. Yes, that's all we're doing now. I agree, though, that Leverage special ability, like I said, there are no bad choices from either a mechanical or fun story point of view. These will open up some really cool doors. So,
it looks like the field repairs could also give Coil some interesting bonuses when we're fixing things on the fly.
Especially since my main effect is to damage the ship in order to perform better.
You guys are just stuck in a vicious cycle. I like it.
Hey, Coil, guess which system I broke today?
No, I mean it. Yes, I'm not going to tell.
Nope, not that one.
But thanks. The air scrubbers are working much better now. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're right. The fact that you have a mechanic does mean that is a good option.
And it looks to be like a spend a gambit on any rig roll. It's not limited to just repairs.
Yeah. If you
cool.
you get like normally spending a gambit on a rig roll would give you an extra die. This gives you yet one more die. And having another die in this game is actually really valuable because I'll take a brief break here to mention the system. So what you're doing is you are trying to roll higher numbers, or really all you're trying to do is roll a single high number. So the more dice you have, the more likely you are to roll, say, a 6. A 6 is an unqualified success. A 4 or a 5 is a partial success, and then 3 and lower is we'll generally call it a failure. Which means the more dice you have, the more likely you are to roll 4 through 6. So, and keep in mind, that's still a success half the time, no matter what you're doing, or at least some form of success half the time. And if you happen to roll 2 6s, that's a crit. So adding yet one more die is actually pretty damn good. So yeah, you have an excellent point. Spinning a gambit on there. Oh, and you have a scoundrel, which means that you have extra gambits. So like right off the bat, the scoundrel's default special ability is here's one more gambit. Mm-hmm. And then are you taking Never Tell Me the Odds? If
yep.
I do it? So you are also a gambit factory, because the scoundrel generates gambits on certain rolls. Even if the scoundrel has spent a gambit on that roll, then you can get another gambit, which means you are likely to have a fair number of gambits to start off with. So anything that uses gambits, because you have a scoundrel, is going to be extremely helpful and also quite useful. So that's a good one. Let's see. Cargo Eye just gives you more money, which is also pretty helpful. Because we haven't gotten into the downtime stuff because we don't need to yet, but I will give you a quick preview. You will have to spend some cred on upkeep every time you finish a job. So anything that generates more cred is just good for that. And again, that getaway one's really nice. But yeah, the leverage one. Let's see, lay low. So the leverage one. The thing to remember about that one is it doesn't help you during a job, but it will help you immediately after a job if you built up too much heat. And heat is system by system, which means if you have too much heat in one system, you can flee to a different system and wait for things to die down in the place where the people hate you most. So so the leverage one is good. Let's see. So I think the ones we heard most were leverage and field repairs.
Field repairs might be best strategically, just given the characters that we have.
I'm leaning towards field repairs as well,
yeah,
especially since we don't again have weapons or shields.
That's true, because
or armor.
Armor. Yeah. So you've got a pilot that's that's going to break stuff, and then you've got people that might be shooting other parts off your ship. Okay. So that just means that Coil's going to be extra busy. I see Coil in like vac suits a lot, just out in the hall while you're flying, trying to do whatever. Okay, that's good. Okay, so do we want to stick with field repairs? I like it. All right, I have marked field repairs. Field repairs is now blue on the sheet. All right, so that brings us to the next phase, which is assigning upgrades. So now what we're doing is, and you can see the list of upgrades on the second page. If you scroll down on the start answer sheet, where it says crew/ship upgrades, everything underneath that is an option. The things that have more than one box require that many upgrades to buy, which means you cannot get Thrill Seekers right now because you only have 2 upgrades to spend. You can get Lucky Charm, which is an extra gambit right off the bat. And by the way, all of your gambits refresh at the beginning of a job. So that means you will always start off with a pile of gambits if you choose that one. And you've got a scoundrel, so you got a bunch of those. The dark hyperspace lane maps might take a little explanation, although it might not. It's pretty much what it sounds like. There are established hyperspace lanes, and then there are the ones that don't show up on the official maps, which means someone got their hands on this list of other ones. The problem with those is that they are dangerous because they are not regulated, they aren't maintained, And you could have gotten them from anywhere. It could have been like Cult of the Seekers. Iris could have stolen it from the Cult of the Seekers. Quirk's family might just know where some are. It might be that. You know, I was like, well, you weirdos, these are the ones we use. You know, you could do it that way. So those are the ones, those are good for smugglers, by the way, because those are the ones that the hegemony, under normal circumstances, doesn't know about. And even if they do know about them, they have certain protocols that are supposed to keep them from following them. Doesn't mean that the pirates and criminals that know about them won't follow you, but you know what I mean. But you know, you're also pirates or criminals. So there we are. Let's see what else. There's the AI module that was brought up earlier. That's an option in this phase. You can get shields, but again, that costs 2 upgrades to buy. What is armory? I honestly forgot what armory is. Let me look that one up.
I think it's the weapon stock.
Everything becomes, all of our weapons become fine.
Whoa, that's pretty good. Yeah, sure enough. Dang. Let's see. Brig is also an option. It's literally a place to incarcerate people. So you already have a med bay. Yeah, so the AI module, software connected to an AI core with fiber optic filaments running throughout the ship, can automate tasks or otherwise run the ship on behalf of the crew. Snarky personality module available for free. They've already anticipated your desires. So honestly, I kind of think you have to take that one. From what we've talked about, you might have to do AI module.
Kind of seems like it.
I think you're right. Maybe
yeah, okay. I'm just going to go ahead and mark that one for you. All right. So right now you have the AI module, a gallery, and enhanced insight training. So the other options, what we said, oh, wait. I forgot to mark medbay. Which means I need to take it off this other one. Oh, you know what? I think, hang on, I think I'm wrong. I think your whole rating is actually, oh, no. Oh, weird. Nope, you know what? I'm going to stick with your whole rating being 4, and I'm going to call the medbay a hull enhancement, because that's what we said. Because you spent that on your medbay, so we're going to leave it there. But I'm going to go ahead and mark it on the lower one anyway, so you know you have it. Okay, so you still have 1 more dot to spend on this. Let's see, workshop. Oh, alien pet was brought up. Ground vehicles. Yeah, go ahead.
We're the ship's alien pets.
I mean, let's see. You could have a shuttle. You could have drones. A Land Rover, an intruder alarm, holo emitters. I have forgotten what Power Reserves does, so I'm going to look that up real quick. Power Reserve sounds pretty good, though. What does it do? Here it is. Batteries and energy supplies that can power the ship independently of the engine, sufficient for a few hours of operation at minimal usage or a few minutes of full power. Oh, it acts as armor against power-related mishaps on the ship. Okay, so it's power system backup, basically. All right. Also, yeah, like I said, if you want a land transport, you could stick that in. Oh, Vault is actually pretty good for securing valuables. And it uses the hull rating when contested, which means if someone else tries to break in, they're going to have a hell of a time getting in on your ship. So, and again, these are all things to think about for future upgrades too, because you can add stuff as the game goes on. This is another one of those situations where you have a lot of options.
The workshop we had talked about previously might not be a bad idea.
No, for a second I thought that said raccoon drone, but it does not.
Which would be adorable.
The armory seemed to light up some people's eyes.
Armory ain't bad. Now, from a mechanics point of view, Coil, I will tell you that the workshop adds +1 quality to craft rolls, which is a whole bunch of game jargon that I will now explain. But what it boils down to is, if everyone is like, crap, we don't have this thing, and you're like, I will make the thing. When you make the thing and you have a workshop, it is significantly better than it would have been otherwise. So that means that it will hold up to more things, and it will be more effective against higher powered things, whatever it is you use. And also, just from a fictional point of view, if you spend this on the workshop, I would give you a lot more options for ship repair than you would normally have, because you would have literally nano assemblers and some other things that you could do to make that easier. So workshop's definitely an option. What else do we have here? Let's see. We already said vault. But also to think about the stuff that you would use. Well, I mean, honestly, any of this could be handy on a smuggling or delivery run, strictly speaking. The smuggler's rigging is personal. It's something you wear, but it allows you to conceal items on your person. Oh, I didn't mention the false ship papers. Those are actually really useful too. And pretty much self-explanatory.
I mean, if we really want to stack everything, we could get shields.
Oh, except the shields requires two.
Okay.
You'd have to give up.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to give up your AI module to get shields. Unfortunately,
we mustn't do that.
You can get shields later though.
Can we do false ship papers? Are we still able to pick stuff from the crew/ship upgrades for the Star Dancer? Because that might not be a bad idea.
Oh yeah. So you're thinking AI module and false ship papers for to start with?
Fine with that. The other option, I was thinking maybe the dark hyperspace lane maps might sync up with the ship's sketchy past.
Oh yeah, it would.
Yeah.
True.
And the snarky AI.
Like they were already loaded in on the ship when we got.
Oh,
yeah, that came preloaded.
Oh God, that's great.
Like the ship knows these paths. We don't.
Yeah, that's great actually that the ship knows these weird.
I think the ship knows which way to go,
and we don't.
The ship knows the ship is that co-pilot who knows a better way, who knows a shortcut, and it just always takes you the worst way possible.
Oh, you're like, why am I here? Yeah.
Yeah. The ship is like always traveling with your uncle. It's like, no, yeah. Take first. Yeah. Okay, that's it. This time of day, there's too much traffic. Okay, that's it. Not bad. Yeah, either of those works, but I have to. I do personally love the idea of the ship being the one that knows that has the map, which continually which will raise the question literally every day: where did this ship come from, and why does it know these things? That is excellent. All right, do we want to go with that? I like it.
I mean, that's my vote.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find it. All right. Here it is. So just for the record, dark hyperspace lane maps are routes through systems that aren't officially maintained. So sometimes they are faster. They're always less patrolled. Often they are full of way creatures, pirates, and other scoundrels. The ride is never as smooth as it is along the Starsmith maintained routes. You don't want to think too hard about the poor fools that died or got lost forever mapping these routes. So it'll get you where you want to go, but again, from a GM point of view, that means that I can throw some weird stuff at you when you get there. And so far, this ship is all about weird, so I think that works. Okay, let me get that plugged in then. Dark hyperspace lane maps, and again, as you get basically ship experience, you will be able to add more stuff later. So now I think we do ship contacts, which works similarly to the way that the ones for your characters do. You know, when you chose like one positive and one negative relationship with people. In this case, it is a little different. You're not choosing a negative contact. So every one of those contacts that is on the list here is a contact that you have because of your ship, because of something you've done, or maybe the ship did, or something that I love that. Yeah, some of them like know the ship. They're like, oh hey, it's the ship.
Don't worry, my ship knows a guy.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. Or again, we'll figure out why. But none of these are going to be negative. The best thing to do, though, is just to choose one that is particularly like it's your favorite contact, is what they call it. And what that means is that contact also has a faction associated with it. And you will get +1 status with that faction because of the contact. However, that contact also has a faction that is one. Basically, you get a -1 status with it because that faction hates that contact. So it doesn't really matter which one you choose, and we can work on the contact later. But what it boils down to is which of those do you want to be your favorite contact, or the ship's favorite contact?
If we're going weird, I think the info broker works.
Oh, that's true. The broker literally knows a lot of weird stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't argue that.
I like it. And again, keep in mind, you know these other ones too, but I like that as being the favorite. Yeah. Okay. Everyone else okay with that? All right. Okay.
We also might be able to go to them if the ship does weird stuff. Be like, hey, so our ship is now blue. What does that mean?
Oh, what shade of blue?
Kind of a cerulean, like.
Ooh. Oh, you need to get out now.
Yeah.
And don't smoke. All right. So I think that's it. That's everything. Except we need to attach some factions to the contact, which we will do in a minute. Is everyone okay with taking a short break for a little while, and then we'll come back and jump in on the rest of this? We don't have much left. It's honestly going to be the rest of this is picking factions for the contact you just chose, and then we'll spend the rest of our time, which we actually have some of, tying some other stuff together, like just talking it out, just seeing what else fits with all of this. Okay, cool.
All right, awesome. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and go on break for like 5-10 minutes, however long it is, and we shall return and finish our world builder here. Excellent.
Thank you.
See you shortly. we have returned. And just so everyone is aware, you're going to see me with the Void Apple. I have brought the Void Apple back because we're in space.
Maybe that's the name of the ship.
So, oh God. So, if anyone
That's
wants
not
to see,
bad.
and this is actually today. It's not so much the Void as a strange tech.
Oh, yeah.
Some sort of technical specification, I guess.
Yeah, fair point.
In neon blue, but so
Not bad though.
So I'm biting into the sheer essence of engineering right now. And
Nice.
It's delicious. But anyway,
I mean,
Ryan, what are we doing?
that's in character at least.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. Thanks for coming, sticking with us during the break. This session brought to you by Squarespace, sorry, man. I was just trying to torment Jim, and it worked. All right. So, now that that's over, we have.
Wait, I got to talk about Blue Apron. Sorry, go ahead.
We have actually filled in just about everything on the sheet for the ship and for the crew. So mechanically, we are just about finished. The only thing we have left to do to fill in is to attach 2 factions to your information broker. Let's see, we went weird with the first one. Do we want to stick with weird for this one, or do we want? We got to figure out. Let's see. Also, we should talk about the information broker. Does the information you mentioned that the information broker? I think it was at least tacitly decided that the information broker actually knows the ship, not so much you, which means the ship has a history, and the ship literally knows a guy, and this is the guy. So, I wonder. Okay, just throwing this out there. Who else wants this ship? That to me is a good question.
I mean, it seems to be an intelligent ship. I would not be surprised if if other people wanted it.
I think a lot of different factions want this ship. Some of them want to blow it up. Some of them want to recruit it. Some of them just want to be its friend. I don't know. The ship probably owes some people money or something. Lost
poker game.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's no way the ship didn't steal something from somebody. Because keep in mind, the ship clearly chose a bunch of criminals and outlaws to hang out with. Why did it pick you? Because you're kindred spirits. So, yeah, I like it. Okay. So I think for me, I think maybe the plus and minus factions might be that are tied to this information broker. Again, feel free to reject any of this. It just seemed like a cool idea. It seems like maybe this the plus and minus factions tied to this information broker might even be more because of the ship. And they have some sort of a connection that way. So let's look at information broker again.
I mean, the Starsmiths Guild might want the ship for any number of reasons, since it's a unusual tech.
That is an excellent point.
I like that idea.
Same thing with the Sun Eaters, kind of a similar.
Yeah, fair point.
We've run into the Sun Eaters before.
Oh yeah, you did. That's true.
Anyway,
two of you are definitely personally disliked by the Sun Eaters. I'll tell you that. So fair point. I like, Starsmiths Guild. You're right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because, it's weird tech. It has access to hyperspace lanes that they don't.
Yeah.
Oh, they hate that or like it. Well, you know what I mean.
Also, why we'd be using them to keep off their trail.
That's a very good point. Oh, I like that a lot. Do we want to have -1 status with the Starsmiths Guild? Or
does our ship have an enemies to lovers with the Starsmith Guild, or a lovers to enemies arc with the Starsmith Guild?
Oh, that's a good point.
What ship is this?
Ship.
I also have another question. Now, we have said that right now on by the book, your ship is called the Star Dancer. You don't have to keep that name for the ship. That's just the template. But whether you keep that name or not, does the AI have the same name, or does the AI have a different name? It's just the AI for your ship, if you see what I mean.
So like a really badass ship name, and then be like, but he also goes by Greg.
Yes, it's Greg the AI.
I
Oh,
think the AI has to be Greg now.
oh God. Okay, well, let me get that filled in. All right.
I mean, it doesn't have to be. It really doesn't. But
I mean, I'm all for it.
it
All
stands for something, you know.
Oh my God, it
It's an
does.
acronym.
Yes. Oh, okay. I'm gonna make one of you come up with it because I'm bad at acronyms. But yes,
Working on it.
Okay, which means that we have to put periods in it. I'm working on it now. Oh, hang on. Can I fill it in up here? Oh, no, I can't. Okay. Designation.
I feel like different factions probably call the ship different things, different names, maybe. Even.
Of course they do. Oh my gosh, that's true. Oh, also, because we have this whole precursor thing, does your ship have some sort of link to the precursors that you will discover later?
Precursors. That sounds familiar.
I mean,
And again, you don't have to answer that now, but if you have an idea.
it might make sense if it does, because I think that Iris has attuned to some old-fashioned ancient precursor tech at various points.
Sure. Oh, and I know I said this before, but it bears repeating. Anybody can have any of the skills, which means anybody can have some points in attune, which means that any of you could be able to do some way stuff, not just Iris. And that doesn't and that's later on. You can add it later. Just because you don't start out with a thing, like if you don't start out with Helm, it doesn't mean you can't learn to fly the ship later. Just FYI. This is not the kind of game that walls off abilities, which I think is cool. Because really where the playbooks come into their own is the special abilities. Like chances are your pilot has the highest helm, but when you add the pilot's special abilities, it almost doesn't matter because you've got a lot of cool stuff that pilot can do. And the thing I like about the pilot is also fills in with a lot of the other ones. The pilot's good at just anything regarding speed, basically. So, I mean, if you choose certain of the special abilities, but the pilot isn't always like the pilot doesn't have to always just be the dude that flies the ship or, the alien that flies the ship. The pilot can also be the thing that's good at shooting stuff or whatever. So that's kind of nice too. All right. So, okay. So we've decided -1 status was, yeah.
Starsmith.
Yeah, Starsmiths. Thank you for reminding me of the name. That's good. And we need to find one with a +1 status. Let me look through the list again.
Could I suggest the Maelstrom pilots?
Oh, the pirates?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so why would they be more friendly towards you or the ship?
The ship did a good run for them. I don't know.
That's it. Might be that. Yeah.
Yep.
I like how easily 60% of your reputation is because of this ship. All right.
Did y'all watch Clone Wars? Another show?
Yes.
I just keep picturing, or I guess Rebels, both of them. I just keep picturing the ship as Hondo Tanaka.
Okay.
And I hate it.
Yeah.
But I love it too.
But not bad. Yeah. Actually,
I remembered who you're talking about.
yeah. All right, let me get those in the notes so we've got that. So, and that means that your reclusive info broker is also somehow tied to this as well. Okay. So let's get okay. You owe the Cult of the Seekers a favor. Wow. You ever get your fingers on the wrong keys and suddenly it looks like you're typing in another in an alien language? That's what just happened to me. Okay.
So you'll find out that Greg stands for General Responsibilities Egomorphic Gadget.
Nice. You owe the Cult of the Seekers a favor. You have +1 status with the Maelstrom. And there's a separate sheet where we'll keep track of this as well. But I'm sticking it in the notes so anyone that calls up the ship sheet will be able to find that out as well. -1 status. Oops. Hang on. I cannot talk and type at the same time. All right. Let me get in here. I get over to the factions. I just want to make sure I got everything in the right place. Factions. Here we go. And while I'm doing this, do you figure that the first time, or which of you met for the first time on this job? Is it all of you or just some of you? Well, actually, 2 of you did know each other. If we're assuming that the things that happened in the one shot, this is all in the same timeline. So if nothing else, Coil and Iris know each other because you've worked together before.
I'm good with considering it canon if Alyssa is. I
think it makes sense because you have literal events that we played through for you to remember, so that just makes sense. Leo, for obvious reasons, information broker is the kind of person you might know separately from the ship knowing them, since you also kind of are one, or at least were one. I don't know. I guess it's nebulous, but
classified.
Unfortunately, that's literally true. It actually is. And the hegemony is very good at classifying things. They have the best encryption. But yes, so although honestly, the biggest question I have is, how did Quirk get this job? Were you just looking for a gig?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Need a ship flown? You got it.
Yeah. Okay. And then
yeah, Xeno ship need a Xeno pilot.
I think that's great.
Did Quirk come with the ship?
Probably
That's
not.
a good question.
Either that or Quirk showed up and the ship was like, oh, I like you.
It's like Quirk's the pilot.
Makes sense. I'm pretty likable.
Yeah. All right. Let me get over here. Yeah, Starsmiths. Okay, so let's get that plugged in. And again, we don't have to come up with all of this right now by any means, but oh wait, something got shifted. We're on character mode. We don't need character mode. We need ship mode. There we go. -1 with Starsmiths Guild. Okay, so just to recap. This is a pretty cool ship. All right, so you've got a ship with a maxed out hull rating. Do we want to keep Start Answer for the name, or do we want something else for that?
I've got nothing better.
All right. It's a good name. And then with Greg the AI. And then let's see. You got smuggling compartments, a cargo hold, crew quarters, and a med bay. One of the cool things about this is this ship can do anything we want it to as long as it doesn't affect the mechanics. Meaning, like, the interior of the ship could be configurable to a much larger degree than a regular ship. You could just say, it didn't have crew quarters before you showed up, but Greg was like, "Oh, you need a place to sleep. Let me fix that for you."
I like the idea that rooms just randomly appear sometimes.
I do too. Honestly, that's too good.
You just get a message that says you're snoring and it's bothering me.
Greg, what do you know that we? Greg, what do you know that we don't? That we suddenly need? a med bay.
Yeah. Uh-oh. I also like it that Greg fully doesn't understand what kind of doctor you are. Greg is like, here, I made you a med bay.
I do think that Mav would have converted the last bed in the med bay to just a replica of a therapist's office.
Perfect. Good. Okay. Which, by the way, might actually be a method of relieving stress. Now that I think about it, we could make that work. Okay, but that is everything. Let me get back to what we're looking at. If I'm not mistaken, I think you managed to keep your cred, which is pretty impressive. It usually gets spent by this time of the thing. Let me make sure I didn't miss something. Just means it'll be easier to pay for upkeep later. Let's see. Or, spend it on other stuff. You can buy a lot of cool stuff with it. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything in the list, but I think we're officially finished, which means we can spend the next few minutes again working up any connections that we think work. And I have one last phase that we'll do right at the end, but let me double check. And also if anybody has any questions or anything. And again, I'm going to repeat myself a lot because I want to make sure some things are clear. Nothing that we've decided for either your characters or the ship are locked in place. If you feel like you want something different later on, or you realize that another thing makes more sense, by all means change that. And we'll talk about it either here or on the Discord chat between now and the next session. So I believe that is everything. That was the upgrades.
We have to be careful where we leave things on the ship so that when it changes, sometimes if things get broken or things. I saw that question come up in chat.
That's true. Oh, I did leave something out. The upgrades, we forgot to go through the faction bit for the upgrades. Oh, yeah. So we need to get that. So hang on, let me see. One faction helped you get an upgrade. You're on good terms. The other faction was screwed over. Okay, this is slightly different. You still have 2 cred, which is good because you may end up spending some of it during this phase. So let me read this whole thing so you understand what the deal is. So you've assigned your upgrades, and we are going to pick 2 factions that are affected by the choices of those upgrades. One faction helped you get an upgrade. You're on good terms with them. Maybe they brokered a deal. You did a run for them. You helped them out, whatever. But they like you, and you get +1 status with them. At your option, spend 1 cred to repay their kindness and take +2 status with them instead. Then we pick another faction that was screwed over for some reason when you got the upgrade. Maybe you stole it from them. It was illegal, and the hegemony is trying to get you for it. So they don't like you, and you get -2 status with them, but you may pay 1 cred to change that to -1 status. So to recap, you've got, because of the upgrades, and let's look at the upgrades you chose, because sometimes those help figure out which ones they were. That was the Dark Hyperspace Lane maps. Wow, you might end up really, really being hated by the Starsmiths Guild if you want to do that, or we could just do something related. And the AI module. It was those 2, wasn't it? So again, we're tying this to the ship in a big way.
It's all about the ship.
I kind of like that. All right, let's get back to the factions and see if you don't want to basically be at war with the Starsmiths Guild, and I'd advise against that. At least starting out, you may not want to start out at that level.
I kind of like being on the outs with House Malklath.
Oh, that's pretty good. Okay. So
Nobles.
maybe they're the ones that got screwed over. Okay, so if everyone else is good with that, it could be House Malklath, and so right now they don't like you, and you get -2 status with House Malklath. If you spend 1 of your cred, you could change that to -1 status. First off, is everybody okay with House Malklath being the one that got screwed over? And it could be something as simple as House Malklath. I mean, they are powerful. They have a lot of they have a lot of information. They found out about the ship too, and maybe they were trying to get it, and maybe the Seekers, maybe your job was to get to it before House MacLeod did, or something like that. Could be that simple. They're just trying to get the ship. So the question is, do you want to be at -2 status with the people that run the entire sector, or -1, and spend a cred to make it -1?
I'm torn because strategy wise, obviously it would be better for a -1.
Well,
but I mean, narratively, my character is very much eat the rich. So
yeah.
Yep.
Let's keep our money.
I'm hearing -2. I'll get it plugged in. Okay. And now we need to pick one that likes you. And you start off at +1, and if you spend a cred, you can bump it up to +2.
I was going to say,
So-
you're saying we were going to end up at
Where's the,
-2 anyway, so.
Where's the Occupy Hyperspace group?
That's it. Okay, hang on. Let me get that. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. We need to find someone. Okay, minus. Here you go. So
there is
-2.
the Cobalt Syndicate, the labor union.
Oh yeah.
Which, I mean, all seriousness, I'm a fan of, but
It's a good one.
and they do a little crime to raise funds.
You know, it helps.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's good. So yeah, you could be friends with the Cobalt Syndicate, and again, it could be something as simple as maybe you just did a job for them. You're like, hey, we have this cool ship. We were already running away from House MacLeod, and turns out helping you like made their lives worse.
Certainly works for me.
That ain't bad. Do we want to do +1? Do you want to do +1 or +2?
And I like the benefit of having the extra money on hand.
Okay. All right. So to recap,
I'm willing to defer to committee.
yeah, I mean, unless anyone disagrees with that, and again, we can change it at any time. Just right now, the way it stands is you owe the Cultist Seekers a favor. You have +1 status with the Maelstrom and the Cobalt Syndicate. You have -1 status with the Starsmiths Guild, and -2 with House MacLeod, the very powerful and wealthy nobles. Which again, I like, because that gives me the opportunity to play a bunch of rich jerks that are after you. So thanks. And a bunch of rich jerks that you can give bloody noses to. This is great. So I'm all for it. So if everyone's good with keeping the money and currently just having +1 with Cobalt Syndicate and the Maelstrom. Okay. All right. That's it. That's everything that we had to do, except for I mentioned earlier that experience points are awarded after every session, and this was a session, so we get some experience points. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you get to see the stuff that you get experience points for. It's at the very bottom of the starship sheet. And at the end of each session, for each item below, we mark basically 0, 1, or 2 experience points for any of these things that happened. And the first one is execute a successful transport or smuggling operation. Well, we described you getting the ship in exactly such a thing, so I think you did. So let's stick 1 on there. Contend with challenges above your current station. Not yet.
I mean, we're on the outs of House MacLeod.
Yeah. But yeah, I was going to say, not so much in this session, but you definitely laid the groundwork for nothing but that in the future. So I see that as being a generator of many experience points. Let's see. Bolster your crew's reputation or develop a new one. Let's see. What was that again? It was strange, I think. Am I pronouncing that right? Yeah, I think you've been really strange. We're going to stick another one on there. And then express the goals, drives, inner conflict, or essential nature of the crew. I mean, I think so. Now, I will note, actually, really, I should not be answering these questions. I should be asking the questions, and you should be answering them. But Yeah, I think you did. So I have input, but really you decide whether or not you hit each of these things. I just remind you of what the questions are. So right now you're starting off with 3 XP, which is not bad. If you look at that, once you fill that up, you get an upgrade of some sort, and you get to add stuff to your crew and or your ship. So I think you're in good shape there. And actually, the same thing goes for the characters. Let me look at a character as an example, because I think that's the same list, isn't it? Okay, so does everybody have access to your character sheets?
Mm-hmm.
And if so, scroll to the same thing down at the bottom. Where it lists what your XP triggers are. And for each of those that you feel like you did during this session, add an experience point to your character sheet as well. Because, in my opinion, each of you did at least one because of just expressing the actual nature and drives and other stuff about your character. So go ahead and add whichever one of those you feel like you should get. And we will do this at the end of each session, whether we finish a job or not. And in my experience, a lot of times a job usually ends up taking a couple of sessions. Sometimes they're shorter. Sometimes they run quick. But with 5 players, sometimes it takes a little longer, which I am all for, because that just means more role-playing. Oh no, don't make me role-play more.
I don't think I hit any of the ones that are on there at this point.
I think maybe you did. Let me look again. I think you got at least one. I think everybody got at least one. Let me look up your mechanic stuff here.
Yeah,
Mechanic, here we go.
Tough challenge with technical skill or ingenuity, maybe that. But I don't really know what it was. Exactly.
Yeah, you definitely didn't struggle with issues from your vice or traumas, and you didn't roll any desperate actions. But I would say, at the very least, yeah, I would say that tough challenge with technical skill or ingenuity still works because simply because of having to exist on this ship. And we've talked about the different things that you've done. So you've got at least one, possibly two. I would accept an argument for express your beliefs, drives heritage, or background, honestly. And the reason I would, honestly, let me rephrase that. Everybody marked express your beliefs, drives heritage, or background because you just came up with them. You literally expressed them. So get, if nothing else, give yourself one experience point because you did that. So everybody should have 1 or 2 experience points, possibly 3, but mostly probably 1 or 2. And that is everything I've got. And we are getting kind of close to the time. We've got about 25 minutes till the time that we said we were going to stop, which doesn't mean we have to go on. But so if anybody has any questions or if anybody has any other stuff they want to throw in, right now, I think this is going to be a really cool game because I like the fact that we started with literally nothing and we came up with snarky AI ship that for whatever reason thinks all of you are really cool people and just wants to hang out and do crimes. So because and from then on, we're just going to fill in bits and pieces of the story, like why is this ship? How old is the ship? How does it know that guy? Yeah. Why does it keep bringing up my grandmother? Stuff like that.
Oh, good Lord.
So yeah, I mean, if no one else has anything else, we can wrap up, or we can keep talking. Whatever you want to do.
I was curious if I'd like to, if possible, if folks would be down with this, I'd like to kind of hear a little bit about each character's backstory, just so that there's. I'd love to have something to attach to for each.
That is a very good idea.
So that way, there's like a thing where we can start figuring out, okay, this plugs into that, and this plugs into that. And
thank you. Good idea.
If folks would be amenable to that.
Okay, who's first?
Sounds like you are, Jim.
I forgot to do the not it thing.
Ah,
All right, yeah. I mean, I'll go first if we so desire.
yeah. What's Coil's deal?
Yeah. So Coil, basically, here's the thing. This is part of the thing that was, part of the thing. Oh boy, I'm foreseeing potential reactions to what I'm about to say in ties to what's going on now, and I don't want to necessarily steer the things in, but so keep this with a grain of salt, and please speak up if you have things of your own. Obviously, when we come around to you. So yeah, Coil basically this is. He grew up on basically in space. He grew up on a ship that was actually a very large ship. It was like a generation ship. I haven't really figured out much about the civilization that it was. It wasn't the type of generation ship where they didn't know it was a ship. They knew it was a ship. They had fighter pilots that they would go out regularly to defend themselves and explore. It was going somewhere. We've never figured out where. Just Brian and I haven't figured out where. But I almost sort of am thinking that there's like a sort of a space Amish thing almost going on with them to an extent. Except, though that's not a great comparison here, because they are technologically, they don't have the same sort of same exact sort of strictures, but maybe they'd have others. But it's like they were kind of their own thing, their own civilization. They're human, but they're it's from whatever.
Like how the Expanse had the Space Mormons.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It's sort of in that. It's something maybe
Horse-drawn
like that.
spaceships are really harsh.
But they essentially it was they're on this long journey, and so that was going to take generations, and he grew up working in this giant ship's guts. Basically, he grew up learning about it. His mother was one of the fighter pilots, and I think his father was some kind of community leader. But he essentially ended up, when he got old enough, he was ran tech for his mother. Basically, he handled her loadouts and what have you, and loadouts for some of the other pilots, and maintained the ships and all that. And there was a point where his mother's squadron went out exploring something, and again we haven't decided what that is, but they never came back. And and it was a thing where I think there was a certain thing where his father was being ambitious, and that was sort of the project in the first place, but ended up blaming Coil because it was like it was a thing where it was like you didn't do your job to adequately protect them type gig. It's a classic transference of guilt type thing going on there necessarily, though not necessarily consciously. It's just more of a thing where it's like you wanted to blame other people, so they had a falling out. And Coil decided, and it made it much harder to stay on the ship, and he decided he was to just leave. And so he did, and started doing odd jobs. Ended up on another ship, on a crew that I think they were primarily like bounty hunter types, basically, on the crew that Gavesha was also on, and where they did the Sun Eater job. And that's been primarily his background. He's got some connections with a Junkers consortium. He's got an obligation to that where sometimes he's sort of networked in with them a little bit. Where he'll they sponsor trips sometimes in return for salvage work. That kind of deal was sort of what I had set up. And he's a tinker. He does a lot of basically the technical stuff. He has I think his best stat is in the rig ability, whatever that does. I've forgotten what that does, but apparently he rigs things.
Yeah, it's mostly fixing stuff and making stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically him. So I'm imagining that to a certain extent, this being on this large ship is something like it's very interesting to him and curious and reminds him a little bit of home.
Sure.
Because of that, but the strangeness is different from the strangeness he had at home. I mean, he didn't fit in back home anyway. He's probably much more sarcastic than his than his people.
Gotcha.
Well, that's him.
Cool.
Hey, MTV. My name is Iris. I'm really into old books made from dead trees, and I love to have a good time.
Are you new in town?
Yeah.
So Gavesha, her parents were laborers. She kind of moved around the galaxy a lot, went wherever the work was, kind of just studied all over the place wherever she could connect with mystics or weird people and make weird friends. She loves quirky ships and quirky pirates, maybe. It's been in some kind of love-hate relationships with pirates and the hegemony. So, just always skirting the lines.
Didn't the pirate faction hate us last time?
Yeah,
because we
they
did
did.
the job too well.
Yeah.
Just curious what happened for them to forgive us.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just us. Maybe they.
I was gonna say, you got this really cool ship, and they're like, oh, well, if the ship likes you, you must be okay.
Yeah, we've just kind of gone around pissing people off.
I mean, that's literally half the game. That's you just have to make enough friends that it balances out.
She also is friends with a sort of MacGyver / Harry Dresden-esque figure named Hicks, who's got a connection to weird occult gadgets and info and books and tools, and got a little businessy storefront up at on the facade and the real stuff in the back.
I like that. And we'll figure out what Iris's relationship to the Way is as we play, I suspect, because one of the things I do like about this is it leaves it open for a lot of different interpretations and a lot of different relationships with it. So that'll be good.
Her starting special ability. She starts with the Way, and I think I've also got a dot in visions.
Oh, nice. So, that'll be really handy.
So if you need a mystical navigator to figure out where the heck Greg is taking us,
that's actually
your gal.
Extremely useful. That's a very good point. Okay, good. All right. Oh yeah. Okay. Hang on. I have to make a note. Who's next? While I make this note to remember to add something to one of the sessions later.
I'll go.
Okay.
So Quirk is a literal bug-eyed alien. He looks like that.
Yes.
His race, the Marach, they are closest analog is like closer to fungus based. Little plant, little animal kind of fungus. Their native language is just bird-like wailing. It's a technologically their technology is galactic standard or close to it, but I don't think they've been. I only think it's a few generations out from first contact with the hegemony. But he and his 5 surviving clutch mates, because not everyone comes out of the spore ponds fully sapient or fully surviving. They're the 5 of them that survived to maturity all kind of went into spacing fields, either pilots or mechanics. Quirk here is went into piloting, joined the Amalgamated Teamsters Collective, just
Nice.
spacers type of guild. He fairly recently was hired to do a bootlegging run for a gang boss, named Yatu. And I managed to lose the entire ship.
Ouch.
While doing it. just lost it. I don't know what happened.
And you made the mistake of surviving.
I came back and the ship was gone. I don't know what happened.
Where you were?
I stopped at a station just to do some refueling and stretch my 4-foot-long legs, and ship's just gone when I got back. I don't know what happened, man.
Did you try double-clicking the walk?
Yeah, I mean, like, I walked around for like 6 hours just clicking around.
Damn space parking lot.
So yeah, I'm on the outs with him.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
My closest clutch mate that I'm with is Triv, who's a mechanic on the Electric Worry, which is a
nice,
just a regular, just like cargo vessel, legit back and forth.
I mean, so is your ship. Wink, wink.
Yeah, I think that's it though. Yeah, he's
excellent.
7 foot tall, green. 4 feet of that is leg, and he likes to keep in his areas. He keeps the gravity low because he thinks it's funny.
I dig it. This is good. And you know that Greg gets the joke. Greg's like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Their blood sloshing all around their inner ears. It's great.
Yeah.
Can't keep their lunch down.
I like the color it makes their faces turn. Yeah.
Funny.
That's good. All right. Who's next?
I'll go.
All right.
So Leo, not her real name, is a former hegemony spy, worked for the Starless Veil. She is retired. She's in her 60s, and is making a life for herself as a scoundrel for hire sort of person, utilizing some of her contacts from spy days and doing her damnedest just to avoid the hegemony because they're crap. They're terrible. They paid pretty well at the end there, but they're pretty terrible. And that's really all I have worked out about her. Cool older lady with a gun and a really badass coat. That's what I've got.
Oh,
How
and
much
that
more do
fits
you
in-
need? Sorry.
I was gonna say, and that fits perfectly with the House Malclaith enmity. That's great.
Yeah,
Because they represent the hegemony here. That's perfect.
absolutely.
Yeah. And
She has an aesthetic, not a backstory.
that's actually, you know what? That's the best. Because you can hang anything on that. Well, actually, and she's the kind of character that's intended to be a blank slate from the outside anyway. That's perfect.
Yep.
Even the people that think they know her do not know her. That's good. And that gives us the opportunity for I like the fact that right now no one has any plus or minus status with the Sunless Veil, which means that's great. So, which means that individually, some of them will probably help you for personal reasons because you probably saved some of their lives.
Oh yeah.
But you've got an equal number of them that were probably trying to kill you back before you retired.
Oh yeah, there's an equal number of enemies and friends there.
I love that. That's good. And it gives a really good trust no one feel to the whole thing, which is excellent. Good. All right, I dig it. And like I said, just like everybody, it gives all of everyone so far. We've got a really good framework to hang a lot of stuff on, which means that as you encounter NPCs or anything else, if it makes sense for us to try to tie it into your background, let's do that. And we're good. Awesome. So Mav.
So Mav is that person who did just everything right. Like, she went to the best school, she got the best grades, she got out of school, she immediately passed her boards, she got her certification, she did her clinicals, and just immediately landed a very lucrative and rewarding job. As you know, because you're in space, the biggest threat to you out there at a certain point isn't, hull damage or all of the other horrible things that living in a literal vacuum will do to you. It's yourself, because you are alone with yourself out there. And so, this company in the RIN system was sending out psychiatrists with their laborers, their miners. And she was really happy to have this job until she found out that the therapies that she was doing, they were all very experimental medications. She later found out that she was essentially brainwashing these workers into continuing to do their jobs unwillingly. And that kind of broke her a little bit. And she became just a full-fledged anarchist.
Nice.
So I think the tagline that I wrote for her was "Practice self-care and healthy coping mechanisms whilst you tear down the bourgeoisie." So she sort of left there and immediately got, she was trying to redeem herself. She got in with the mendicants at first. And, she knew that she was doing good, but she got bored. And so she went immediately to the maelstrom after that. And sort of the opposite happened. She wasn't bored. She was having a good time, but she didn't feel like she was helping people. And it's sort of how she has fallen from one thing to the next until landing here.
Until Greg chose her. That's good.
I'm kind of picturing that Greg was having like an AI midlife crisis and
oh
wanted
my
to go
gosh,
to
that's
therapy.
Did I just sort of like dial out to people, just sort of communicate through comms, whatever comm network there is to people, and just sort of like, without us knowing, is just basically communicating with other ships, other
He
individuals.
hooked up to like station Wi-Fi and was like, "I like you."
It's kind of a mix. It's kind of a mixture between both Eddie and Marvin.
Yeah. Oh my God, it is.
Oh my God.
Greg gets lonely.
How long had Greg been your client before you realized it was a ship?
Oh, that's even better. Yeah.
I feel like it was one of those like BetterHelp.com through text at first. And just very much, well, how does that make you feel? What is feel?
Oh no.
That's why Greg started speaking in a lot of I feel statements.
Oh, that's it.
Oh my God.
I like this.
There are pirates on the 200 clicks out. I feel you should grace the combat duty.
I'm getting kind of angry. I hear you.
I don't want to tell you your own truth, but I think you might want to activate shields.
I hear what you are saying. I understand that there are pirates on our tail, but I feel a little anxious in this situation, and I would like you to verify that.
I recognize your anxiety.
That's it. I just love the idea of these conversations going on while we're all running around panicking in the background.
Red lights everywhere.
That's totally
I
it.
also love the idea that our ship's therapist is quite literally our ship's therapist.
Yeah.
No, you humans are so literal.
Your educational background suggests you should be able to operate on him. Why are you not doing this?
I feel like the ship might get into arguments with Quirk. Like,
Oh yeah.
he made me do some very difficult maneuvers, and then I have to have like couples counseling.
Greg, shut up or I'll burn out your capacitors again.
Don't you dare. Any idea how long it took me to fix this last time?
Well, pick a system you want burned out, and I'll burn out that. I need to get these shields working.
I can't pick a system if he keeps changing them.
Think of
The
the mechanics.
configuration of the panel keeps changing. I don't know. Do you know what kind of fuel he wants? I don't.
I feel like
Just
living
hit-
on a sentient
Hit
ship.
the ultraviolet button.
We live on a sentient ship. Everybody needs therapy.
You mean
It's true.
You can't see in the ultraviolet spectrum? I wish you had told me that before I chose the color scheme for the layouts.
I've lost the config file now. Thanks. And on that note, I think we have the core of our game. That is
Yeah, I
good.
think there it is.
I am really looking forward to doing this.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, so session 1 will be next Wednesday. Yes,
Yes.
everyone,
Is that right?
good. All right.
Are we good?
Again, I will be coming down from dental surgery, so Mav will have chipmunk cheeks. And
Okay.
if we want to make it canon, I'm fine with it.
We'll figure it out. We appreciate you powering through. That's good. Well, if there's nothing else, we have hit the actual end of our session.
Yay.
And thanks everybody. First off, thanks all of you. This is going to be a lot of fun to play, and thanks for everybody who was watching. This is great.
Yes, absolutely.
And thanks for chat. By the way, chat was hilarious. I just didn't get a chance to respond.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, so I guess, wait, I got to do my job now. Okay.
Do the thing.
Yeah, job. Thank you all very much for watching. I very much appreciate it. This is very cool. I am excited to get into this now. I feel like this is now. Thank you also for indulging my the desire to have a little more character info at the end, because now I can kind of see it. I can see it now. And
I'm
this
really
is
glad you
cool.
suggested that. That was a good idea. Thanks.
So this is going to be great. We are getting a we are getting, before I forget, because I know I'm gonna by the time we get there in these things. We do have a request from chat to identify the cat.
Her name is Hera, and she was fighting with her brother because the food bowl is empty, which is why I bounced for a second to try and break that up.
Gotcha. Nice.
She has now left the desk area, and there's hissing. So if you hear cat noises, that's because mine are jerks to each other.
That'll do it. Okay.
This is a thing that happens. It's quite all right. Excellent. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead then and go around and do our outros. We can ask folks, feel free to plug whatever you like. Tell us where we can find you, and let us know anything else. Anything else either you really liked about this session or that you are looking forward to. I'm going to go ahead once again, since we're going in reverse order. We will start with our GM, Brian.
I'm Brian. Full name Brian Cooksey. Again, he, him. Mostly I'm found on Twitter at Vaclam, which is Malcav backwards. And also on I'm one of the hosts of the Armor Goes Clank podcast. And the thing I'm looking forward most to this game is getting to play the ship at you. So I would like to thank all of you for coming up with this smart ass ship for me to pretend to be. You are awesome.
I'm half cackling with delight and half, what have we done? I feel like that makes for any good RPG. That's awesome. All right, and let's go over to Josh.
I'm Josh Burnett. He, him. I'm Bernie the Flump on all the things. I mostly live in Dungeon Crawl Classic spaces right now. So if you like, we just did a sci-fi setting for that. Me and my partner Leighton Connor, called Leper Women of Venus, which is based on Golden Age cartoonist Fletcher Hanks. That's the last thing we done did. So you can look for that. I'm looking forward to the interpersonal character reactions the most in this here thing, because it's looks like it's going to be promising and fun.
Excellent. And now over to Alyssa.
Hi, I am Alyssa. You can find me on Twitter at Shawltales, occasionally on Twitch, also at Shawltales, but I stream so sporadically. It's probably just the best to keep an eye on Twitter and see what I'm up to. Currently, this is the only game I have going on. We'll see what happens in June, but everything is to be determined at the moment. So I'll be back here next week, and I'm looking forward to interacting with the ship and my new crew. And also, I'm curious what would happen if there was ever more Ghosts of Saltmon. We had Brian on to play Greg and introduced him to Udom.
Oh my god. I don't know if the universe could handle that. That would be awesome.
I don't know. I'll have to write a fanfic.
I've already come up with many insults for your druid. So.
Oh my god.
Fair. He has earned them.
That's fair. That's very fair. That's true. That's thoughts. Excellent. Very cool. You've now made me look forward to things that aren't even in this game. Let us now head over to Brittany.
Hi, I'm Brittany, or Bam, she, her. You can find me on Twitter as That Damn Druid, and I am definitely looking forward to seeing how this dysfunctional family is going to operate.
Me too. I can't wait. And finally, Sara.
Hello, I am Sara, and you can find me on Twitter and pretty much everywhere on the internet as Sara of Swords. And you can also find me back here next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for Urban Shadows, where nothing is going wrong at all.
Nothing. It's
completely normal. And that's where I'm at lately. I'm on Jim's channel. And I'm looking forward to, I love the sentient ship that we created, and I'm looking forward to seeing, having seen Brian play kind of computer-esque characters before, I'm interested in seeing how he plays Greg. And again, this dysfunctional family that everybody needs therapy for sure. Because we're in space on a sentient ship. I'm delighted.
It's going to be very, very cool. I'm very pleased to dig into this. This is going to be great. So very excited for that. Who am I? I'm Jim. You can find me at OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I have links down below to my website, Twitter, YouTube channel, and various other things. So as previously mentioned on this channel, on Tuesday, we shall have what is, as it turns out, probably, provided we're all available, is going to be the season finale of Lex Talionis. And we have our Urban Shadows campaign set in present-day Rome, Italy. The lore has spiraled out of control and is now bleeding into a second season.
It's fine. It's all fine.
It's all going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. But it's that's going to happen. So you just be very excited to see how we leave things there. Let's see. Also, then of course, 1 week from today, we'll have more of this. We'll have get our first mission underway, and I'm really excited for that. Other things are coming slowly, still hammering, putting things together, figuring out what things are shaped like, trying to tackle projects, and I have to do them one at a time for my own sanity. So as far as, tackling, figuring them out, and then there will be multiples happening at once we get them rolling. But it's just a question of okay, which thing will I communicate with? Will I allocate spoons to communicating about today? And so, it's takes a bit of time. as evidenced by the fact that I think Brian and I were talking about this toward the end of last year. So
Yeah.
It's I feel worth the wait. But we're getting there. We're getting there. But that said, let's see what else. Also, I'll go ahead and mention this. I'll keep mentioning this for a little while, but it's probably it's going to get less and less green the more weeks out we are. So probably not for too much longer. So I am appearing on the series The Great Molasses Flood, the actual play series on Tabletop Garden. That's the actual name of the podcast is Tabletop Garden. It's an audio podcast. You can find that at tabletop.garden if you want to go check that out. All episodes of that are now available. I think they're going to get another campaign started soon that I am not in. But do check them out because they're very awesome people, and I play with them here locally. And they're game designers. We actually played their game that they created, Rosette Diceless, which we will be seeing more of on this channel at some point relatively soon, depending on how things go with the mini campaigns, time-wise. So we'll see. And how much further Urban Shadows grows out of control. We'll have to figure it out. But anyway. We'll see how things go. No, it's this. I very much enjoyed the campaign. It took place in 1919, around the time of the Great Molasses Flood that happened in Boston, when a molasses tank exploded, and basically a bunch of people died. So do check that out. And I also have a thing that I'm going to be appearing in, but I don't know if that's been announced yet. So there's a thing. It's going to happen. I now know when it's going to happen. Not this week, probably next week on someone's channel. Someone's channel, not this one. It'll be on a Friday. I'll reveal that much. And perhaps I'll reveal more about it next week. But let's just say conversations have been had a little bit, and I'm gonna pop in on someone. But anyway, but that shall happen. But now that we have reached the end of that, I think what we're gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna send a raid over to Off the Table. Finally, I'm streaming at the same time as Off the Table. They are having their finale for Passion de las Passions,
which is an awesome game, by the way.
Yeah, it's the telenovela PBTA game, which is a freaking delight and also even more delightful to watch.
Jealous.
We're going to go over and say hi to them. Feel free to hang on if you are so inclined and say hi to them with us. That will be when we hit the end card. In the meantime, folks, thank you all very much for watching. Take care. And we will catch you next time. Farewell.